Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, let's move on to any corrections to the agenda or consent. We're not going to have closed session, correct? Other than that, anything? We have a motion to approve the agenda and consent. Moved and seconded. Let's call the question. Okay, and that takes us down to item 6A, gravity platform. Andrea.
Good afternoon, President Peterson and directors of the board. On Thursday, September 19, 2024, staff presented basics of the gravity platform system, benefits and cost analysis to the Finance Committee. This presentation is also attached to this board agenda item. The Finance Department currently relies on outdated systems for budget preparation to include personnel budgeting, operational budgeting, capital improvement projections, 10-year forecasts, act for generation, and numerous budget-based book creations. These systems have become increasingly inefficient, leading to the potential for errors, delays, and increased workloads for staff. With the implementation of the Gravity platform as a supplemental system to Tyler, the current ERP, all other aspects around budgeting and reporting will be significantly improved by reducing the manual nature of many processes today. These tools will provide significant benefits in terms of accuracy, efficiency, and transparency, ultimately supporting better financial decision-making for the district. By adopting these new technologies, the district will be better equipped to manage its financial resources and meet the growing demands of district staff. That proposed is a multi-year agreement of 3 years with a termination for non-appropriations of funds clause. Are there any questions?
Just a comment that we did get a great presentation from the Finance Department. Thank you, Greg, on this proposal in the Finance Committee. And so I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned. I maybe didn't hear that. She said that at the beginning. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Just wanted to reinforce that then, we made an affirmative recommendation to the board after a very comprehensive presentation. Saw that it made a lot of sense in terms of automation, but then also opportunity to expand it to connect to other facets of our operations. So looked like a good investment.
Just to add to that, also the financial analysis, it pays for, more than pays for itself in staff savings. So it's a pretty good investment. Any other questions?
I guess just for 1 year subscription, get this all set up, and then thereafter, what does it look like after that? Is there like an ongoing annual?
There's an ongoing. It's a 5% increase year over year. It would be about $80,000 the second year and about $83,000 the third year.
And how does that compare to like what we're doing today in terms of cost and expenditures related to software?
For Tyler, we don't have anything comparable to what Gravity does right now. So it's an entirely new system. It would be a supplemental system that can utilize Tyler, ties directly to Tyler, so it's supplemental. It's not comparable to anything we currently have in place.
And Tyler's not staff, right?
I'm sorry?
Okay.
No.
That's an acronym.
No.
Yeah. So I think what Dave was saying, like the return is really the savings on staff time. You basically don't have to hire a person.
Well, and I would like to add on, so you do have the presentation that was given to the Finance Committee on your agenda item, and there is a cost analysis in there. At that time, we had estimated about $30,000 for Tyler to add on the HR payroll personnel piece. After our presentation, we actually got the affirmative quote from Tyler, and as opposed to $30,000 for the first year, it's $100,000. So that makes the savings that we can realize and can be utilized towards other projects, et cetera, much greater.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thanks for the additional feedback from my community.
desired action, Andrea?
It is requested the board approve the purchase of Gravity in the amount of $146,280, which is comprised of $67,000 for implementation and $79,000 for the first year service fee for the solutions of budget software, annual comprehensive financial report, budget book, 10-year forecast, and capital improvement projections book automation.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's call the question. Very good. Thank you, Andrea. All right, let's go to standing and ad hoc committee reports. We'll start with Nick Exline. What you got? Kelly?
Yes.
No meeting.
Nick? No. Yeah, other than finance committee that met and we summarized that, that was the one item on the agenda. So, okay, any board member reports?
Really excited with the progress of the solar project, the advancing of that, and greatly appreciate the updates from staff. You know, in our position, I always don't want to bother people, so getting those updates promptly is greatly appreciated. That's great work.
Yeah, the tree removal should be complete by the end of the day tomorrow.
Nothing.
No, just echoing, Nick, appreciate you always reaching out and giving us a heads up on what's happening. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Nick? Just want to make sure we're getting a little update from Shelley maybe on LTRA, Lakeside Restoration Act. There's some exciting news yesterday. So I won't say much of that also.
Okay, and then my only thing, there was a recent court case that I don't want to misrepresent what it was, but it basically said that fluoride in systems is no longer required or it couldn't be used. And I asked Paul whether we do that, and we do not add fluoride in our system, so it's not an issue for us. But I know a number of agencies are having to reevaluate whether they're continue to add fluoride to their drinking water. The other thing, that LTRA, Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, I will be going to the reception tomorrow. I don't know, did we have a quorum or where did
I think you're the only one.
I'm the only one. Okay, very good. Anything else? Let's go to staff and attorney reports. We'll start with Danielle.
Good afternoon, directors. I'm Danielle Morse. I'm the grants coordinator. I'm here this afternoon to provide you with an update of our grants and SRF loans, the program that we currently have. So I always like to start with the good news and what's going on in the world of grants. So let's discuss some recently awarded grants that we've received. First, we have the El Dorado Water Agency, our annual MOU funding for groundwater projects involving modeling, monitoring, and planning. We were awarded $80,000 for that. Moving into a few Bureau of Reclamation grants that we were recently awarded through their Water Smart program. We have a couple of projects here that I'm excited to talk about. Through the Drought Response Program, we were recently awarded $195,185 for a project titled Improving Community Water Management. And basically what this project is it's going to assist the district in optimizing our water use data and technology to help us really better understand how our customers are using water as we prepare for the implementation of water budgets in the future. So this is working with a consultant to develop decision support tools, really further evaluate water use on the customer side. And then it also includes the creation of a community drought partnership so that we can begin to discuss with stakeholders in the community how this future reality of water budgets is going to impact them and what are the resources that are going to be needed to assist them in meeting these water budgets. So that is an exciting project coming up. And then even more so through the Bureau's Water and Energy Efficiency Program, we were awarded $483,438 to install the last remaining residential water meters in our service area. So many of you may be familiar with the few areas in town that are not yet metered. Primarily it's the Loop Road area, as we were waiting to determine the outcome of the transportation project that was proposed for that area. So because that's not moving forward, we will be installing the last of the remaining water meters in that area, as well as in several other parcels throughout the district's service area where the installation was much more complicated and required increased installation costs. So basically, that amount of funding was ordered to the district to install 80 water meters, which I just was so excited. I thought there was no chance we were going to get that with that small amount, but we were successful, and that project will be launching, well, it's already in the design, and it will be launching next year for construction. Moving right along, we received $1 million from the EPA, which you may recognize as the earmark funding that Shelley pursued successfully with our local congressional representatives. So the way that the earmark funding is going to be distributed to all of the different projects that were included is through an EPA grant administration process. So I have been in contact with the EPA. I have been working with them to develop our application and also to coordinate funding on the Pioneer Trail Waterline project, because as I'll explain a little further, we have multiple funding sources for this project. So it's definitely going to be a lot of coordinating with the different federal agencies to ensure that the project moves forward smoothly. The next grant that we received was through FEMA by way of Cal OES through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. This is for the Tahoe and Bayview Well Emergency Backup Power. So this project was a lot of work to get this funding, and the work just continues. Working with FEMA is always such a pleasure. But we have jumped over many hurdles to receive $1,301,867, and I will be so happy when we are actually in construction on this. So this is going to provide critical backup power for our 2 largest producing wells, and this was many, many years in the making. So very excited to receive this funding. Lastly, I have on here through the Forest Service and by way of the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, we were awarded $1,390,149, again, for the Pioneer Trail Waterline project. And then we were also received $21,000 for administration, as this is a partnership grant, and the district acts as the lead and is responsible for administering this grant, so we received the funding to cover our time to do so. So we have a lot of great projects moving forward and a lot of great funding coming into the district, and many more to come. So that leads me into my next slide, which is really an area of focus for the grants team right now. And that is our funding strategy development. So you may be aware that both Jen and Jen is the grant specialist right over here, and myself are fairly new to the district. Me new back to the district, but Jen brand new to the district. And so it's been a little over a year now that we've both been working as a team together on grants. And we really spent that last year building up as much knowledge and information as we can about the district, about our operations, about our infrastructure, and the projects that we have scheduled in the future. And then we've also spent a lot of time coordinating with the other district departments on really trying to identify what are their priorities, what are their desires for funding, where can we work together to find best projects to move forward that are going to prove to be the most fundable projects as well. So definitely a lot of collaboration going on there, and this entire process has really improved the communication between our department and other district departments, and I'm just really excited about it because now we're getting to the stage where we're ready to start evaluating the fundability of a lot of projects that we've identified. And so we continue to work with outside resources to assist in this effort, and I know that this will remain a focus of the grants department for as long as it exists. All right, so let's go over a few of the grant-funded projects that we are already managing. Most of this will be reviewed for you, as you've heard me up here a few times before in the previous year. We have additional funding from the Bureau of Reclamation for the Washoe-Nakoma PRV installation project for $100,000. We are just wrapping up the funding we were awarded through the Eldorado Water Agency to install fire hydrants in the county in areas that were much needed. We also are moving right along with the Tahoe Keys Property Owners Association Consolidation Assessment. That again was funded through the Eldorado Water Agency. We are working on another backup power project that was funded through FEMA for the Paloma Well and the Keller Booster Station. That will be completing this fall. And then we have our California Public Utilities funding for our fiber optic network planning and design project. That will also be wrapping up here in the fall, and we will have a plan to pursue, should we so desire, funding in the future to implement this fiber optic network. And then lastly, we're managing our Baldwin Beach sewer line relocation project with funding through the Forest Service. In addition to those projects, you may be aware that the district is involved in several partnerships that really drive additional funding for partnership projects. So one of those partnerships is the Tahoe Sierra Integrated Regional Water Management Group. We have 2 grants that we received from the California Department of Water Resources to implement water conservation projects. So that first one is really focused on customer-side water use. We're really making every effort to help our customers identify leaks. We're offering them free water audits that might help them reduce their water use, improve their efficiency, identify leaks, and then to complement that, we offer the incentives and the rebates to help them with the repair costs for those that are identified. The second project that's funded under the Tahoe Sierra Integrated Regional Water Management is our water efficiency and water loss system implementation. This project is focused more on the production and distribution side, so really on the district side of the system. Where can we identify and rapidly correct system losses? And then also, this project includes funding to add some additional towers within our AMI meter system to really boost the signal for areas that we're having challenges in picking up those automatic reads. So we've been working on that, and that one, we're kind of in the middle of that project. And then moving over to our Tahoe Water for Fire Suppression Partnership. So you've heard a lot about this partnership lately, and its connection to moving forward the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act through all the work that's been going on with our congressional representatives. We currently have 2 hazardous fuels reduction projects that were funded through this partnership. The first one is we received a planning grant from the California Tahoe Conservancy to develop a vegetation management plan. This is a multiple agency effort. It includes North Tahoe PUD and Tahoe City PUD. And basically what we used this funding for was to hire a forester to go and take a look at all of our critical infrastructure sites and make some recommendations on vegetation management strategies to protect those sites from wildfire in the future. So that project is very close to wrapping up, and then we will be moving into the implementation phase, which is now, okay, we've done all the planning, we've identified what we need to do and where, now let's do it. So the one grant that we currently have for that is through the Forest Service. It is funding to do hazardous fuels reduction at critical infrastructure sites that are located on Forest Service land. So that will cover a portion of the sites identified in the vegetation management plan, and then the remaining sites will be pursuing funding through the CTC to do the implementation of those. I'll mention that a little bit later. Moving right along to our SRF loan-funded projects, and I always feel like I need to explain why do I include SRF loans in a grants presentation. So basically, the SRF loan application process is almost identical to a grant application process. as is the administration of the loan agreement. So that's why it falls under the grants umbrella. So we have two different areas of SRF loan funding. The first is our drinking water SRF project, which is going to be any of our water projects. So currently we have the Keller Heavenly Water System Improvement Project, which also is wrapping up. You guys are going to be a very busy winter. We're closing a lot of agreements and a lot of projects. And then we're getting ready to launch, well, I should say we've already launched the Waterline Upgrades and Improvements Project. We should have that contract any day now, as they keep telling me. And then we've also applied for an SRF loan to cover the balance of the project costs for the Pioneer Trail Waterline project. Moving over to the clean water SRF side, or in other words, the wastewater project side, we have our Tahoe wastewater pump station rehab project. That is also wrapping up here in the next 6 months. We have our wastewater treatment plant secondary clarifiers upgrade, also wrapping up here in the next 6 months. And then we are just getting started on the Upper Truckee wastewater pump station rehab project, and we are awaiting a financing agreement for the Bijou wastewater pump station rehab project, which will be launching next year. So I've given you an overview of the grants that we've recently received, what we're currently managing, the SRF loan, but I feel that it's very impactful to present you these projects in terms of dollars. So for any of you that are marketplace fans out there, let's do the numbers. Basically, the district is currently managing over $8 million in grant funding and over $21 million in SRF loan funding. So we are keeping very busy, and we like it that way. And we look forward to continuing to find new opportunities for funding. And along those lines, I'll just mention a few targets that we've been working on lately. So just last week, we submitted a grant to Cal OES for cybersecurity measures. Basically, we're applying for $187,000 to implement a suite of projects that will really strengthen the district's cybersecurity posture. These are things like implementing multi-factor authentication, really strengthening our identity threat protection, and then also looking at doing a penetration test on our system. So both Chris and I are very, very excited and hopeful that we're going to receive funding on this grant. And, you know, maybe there'll be additional funding in the future and we can apply for even more cybersecurity strengthening projects. We're also evaluating projects for the Bureau's next round of water and energy efficiency program grants. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be preparing our application to the California Tahoe Conservancy for the additional fuel reduction work that will happen that's coming out of the vegetation management plan. A couple of other things that aren't on my slide here that we're tracking that I always like to mention. We've been paying close attention to lead service line replacement and the funding opportunities that may come out of that. The district is just in the early stages of recording and developing our inventory, but as we progress in that, we'll be keeping an eye open for any funding opportunities that we can target there, as well as with our fleet transition and with the PFAS, you know, with all the talk around PFAS. What is going to come down the pipe in terms of regulations, what more is going to come down the pipe in terms of regulations, and what do we need to be evaluating to be prepared for those. We're also looking at some hazard mitigation and then looking for opportunities to collaborate with other agencies and community organizations on projects that are involving environmental restoration. So just to give you an example, the Johnson Meadow Restoration Project that's going to be happening in the future. We have a sewer line that goes through that meadow, you know, looking at how can we work with other agencies to obtain funding that might benefit all of us and help with costs to relocate or do whatever is necessary to protect those sensitive environments. So those are definitely top of mind right now as well. And with that, I think I will ask if you have any questions.
Any questions, board members?
Just a comment, really, and I just appreciate you coming forward and kind of giving us the rundown on everything that you guys are working on. And I really appreciate the time and energy you're spending on this stuff. So thank you very much.
And I just say this is really, really good news. And Paul, when you do your year-end thing, this needs to be in there in some fashion. Maybe just the high-level numbers, but it's pretty amazing success. So, way to go.
Thank you. Great work.
No questions?
Well, I think I'm
No
curious
questions?
about the look ahead, like what's possible, and I appreciate the comments around like looking for joint benefit projects. Been talking with Adrian a lot about that in the operations committee, so I think we're right on track with that and kind of seeing what opportunities exist out there because there's a lot going on from a capital, standpoint in the community, and the more that we can get together, and we've started doing that already with El Dorado County more. I mean, we're doing it, so just. Continue to do that. I think that's going to really get us a long way. And then just seeing how some of our priority capital projects do match up with some of the newer grants that are out there. I'd just be curious and then how that fits into our legislative strategy and really pushing to get those grants.
Absolutely. And to your point, Nick, I have been coordinating monthly with Shelley and Julie and Andrea and other departments to really hone in on that. Let's see where these opportunities are because we're much more efficient and much more successful when we're all working together. So I think it's great.
Yeah, especially tying it back to the capital improvement program. I really appreciate you guys digging into that part of it as well.
I mean, in case you guys don't know, my background is in accounting, so numbers are always first. Numbers come first.
And if possible, Paul, is it when this, if the inventory of hazard mitigation effort, when that report comes through, can we get a high-level presentation on that at some point, just to kind of get the board aware of kind of what's going on and what we know about our vulnerabilities in terms of our facilities, in terms of wildfire threat. I'm just curious about what that report.
Yes, we are already moving forward with the update of our local hazard mitigation plan because that is required. We are required to have an approved and adopted plan in order to be eligible for any hazard mitigation grant assistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, that effort is moving forward, and I think we have the huge potential there to really identify a lot of projects for future funding opportunities in that plan.
Yeah, or maybe this plays out in the ops committee or whatever, but it'd just be good for us to kind of keep track of like how we're clicking through our reduction in wildfire hazard or threat or risk or whatever. So
yes, and we actually
the plan that the CEC funded.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
guess there's that plan, right? So good to see kind of like give some visuals on what our exposure is across our district. I'm assuming it includes, our facilities down in Diamond Valley.
Actually, it does not. No. So it was really focused on critical water infrastructure sites.
Right.
So they didn't look at anything in Alpine County. They looked just in the basin. And I'm not sure that CTC would have. It may be a limitation from the funder because that grant was obtained before I started here, but I'm not sure that CTC would be funding looking at areas outside of the basin. So that may be why it wasn't included. But I apologize. I thought you were referring to the local hazard mitigation plan, not the
that's on the
management plan.
We talked about that a
Too
little
many plans.
Yeah, this is more related to the hazard mitigation for above ground structure kind of stuff.
Well,
I'm just curious. I'd just be interested in a high-level presentation on that. It could be in ops or here or wherever, but I'm not sure if anybody else finds. But I'm really interested in that one.
I had a question just about kind of your, staffing capacity.
Yeah.
Given that there's only so many hours in the day, as you look at these savings, the grant opportunities that exist, put it simply, like, would additional hours in terms of capacity from the grants department, kind of equate to additional grant funding? So would it, more capacity be helpful? Or is there just kind of a limit that we're at with the district and what our budget is and so forth?
That's an interesting question that you asked, and I appreciate that question. So I'm sure you know, Nick, that the grant specialist position is new. It's only been around for the past year, a little over a year. So we have really been learning how to make the grant team as successful as possible with that additional position and then the half-time position. So currently, do I think that more staff hours would be helpful? Not necessarily, because we have other limitations to our grant funding, which is our capacity to implement these projects. So, you know, right now, I think we're at the perfect staffing level, and that is something I will continue to evaluate as I move forward with our grants program, but I wouldn't ask for another staff right now, if that's what you were asking.
Danielle, do you want to talk a little bit about the Ferguson group?
Yes. Oh, yes. So that also that points to your question as well. So we are also working with an outside consultant to help us with just ensuring that we're capturing all of the funding opportunities that are out there that might be applicable to our projects. They're assisting us in developing our funding strategy, and so that has definitely added some value to the grants team. But I still stay with my first answer that I believe that we are appropriately staffed right now. And, you know, will that change in the future? That may be the case, but right now I'm feeling very good about our staff capacity.
How long is that relationship with Ferguson?
We signed just a one-year deal because we wanted to see what kind of value we could get out of it. And I think it was like $30,000, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and so we can evaluate at the end of the year to see if it's something we want to continue on with.
No, I mean, I think that might be the route to head in terms of just having surge capacity when necessary, as opposed to hiring a permanent staff. So it seems like a possible solution. Your question, maybe?
I mean, I'm happy how those pieces go together, honestly. Yeah, no, I apologize.
What is the timing on getting the product from
Well, so what we're doing right now, Nick, is we meet with them monthly, and we have strategy sessions, and then we have an actual funding strategy that they are developing. They're helping us to develop it. It's kind of something we had already started internally, and they're just helping us to enhance it and mostly bringing more opportunities that we may not be aware of. You know, they also have a segment of their business focused on legislative and advocacy, and so they definitely I mean, Shelley brings great information, so I'm not sure that they brought anything yet that we didn't already know, but they do have that connection in Washington, D.C. with local representatives and whatnot, so they can, and with the other federal funding agencies, so they tend to get alerted a little sooner about opportunities that might be coming down the pike and that they can share with us so that we can begin to prepare for them. Yeah. No, yeah, and I wasn't looking for a fixed product from that. There were several different areas. Right now I'm also asking them to assist us in just really increasing our compliance capacity and making sure we're adhering to all of our, you know, terms and conditions of our grant agreements, asking for their assistance in developing some surveys on how we can bring interest from other departments in grant funding and see what else is out there that might be a little bit outside the box.
And I guess so it sounds to me like they're really helping you to identify perhaps overlooked opportunities, but do they also have services around helping you to actually submit applications and prepare those things?
They do. They offer services of reviewing grants that were, you know, portions of the applications that we're writing. I mean, they will, if you want to hire them, they'll write it for you, but that's not what we're looking to do. So they are assisting with some review of project ideas. What I really appreciate that they're doing right now is more looking at the fundability of the projects and just, like I said, maybe bringing forward opportunities that we may not be aware of, although there's not that many out there that we're not aware of, but they've been helpful with that. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other staff reports?
Good afternoon. Thanks, Nick, for teeing me up. Shelley Thompson, Director of Public and Legislative Affairs. So as Nick alluded to, this week the President signed the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act. So hip hip hooray, and it's great timing. Congressman Kiley has a
press conference and celebration scheduled for tomorrow, and Senator Cortez Masto, who moved the bill forward on the Senate side, is also going to be there up at Heavenly. Dave, I'm thrilled that you'll be joining us. Today, Kylie was making his rounds, meeting with a few agency folks, so we met with him with Tahoe City, North Tahoe, Tahoe Douglas Fire, and North Tahoe Fire, mainly to just say thank you for the earmarks that have been coming for water. Thank you for LTRA, highlighting the difference between the appropriations of up to $10 million versus the $2.1 million that Basin has been receiving, to see if he can break that black box to get us some more money. The fire districts talked about their evacuation planning and fuels reduction along evacuation corridors. So just it feels good to have a good relationship with our Congress member who has been working hard for Tahoe, and to get into the weeds a little bit on a few more opportunities that can help our customers and our community protect ourselves from fire.
Congratulations, and I guess just as you're being our representative, please express our appreciation for moving that through.
No.
Thanks, Shelley. Others?
I just have a couple of things.
You're the next agenda.
Yeah.
GM report. Go ahead.
So, already talked about solar projects, so I need to go into that. Staffing update, we were able to fill earlier this week one of our senior engineer positions that was vacated when Adrian became the director of operations, and had good candidates, but we ended up hiring a woman named Laura Hendrickson, who's a PE locally here in town, and most recently she was working for Mason West out of Livermore. And I just want to give a little update on the customer assistance program, since it's been about a month since we put up the press release for it. And Ryan will give a more detailed update in a couple of months after it's been out a little longer. But so far, over that month, we've had 6 people sign up for it. So not quite as many as I thought there would be. But interestingly, during that same period of time, we've had 15 additional qualified customers sign up for the original plan. So obviously some people saw that press release that didn't know about our customer assistance program. And so I think it'd probably be a good idea to issue that release or something similar to it at the beginning of the calendar year again, see if we can get some more signed up. That's it.
You have questions for Paul? All right. Looks like in the agenda there's the notice to pass in future meetings and events. We are not having closed sessions, so if there's no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you.